Hi, I'm Ziggy, and this is my world. You can have it if you want it.
We can't stay long. We're just here to dump some nuclear waste.
Hello, all. You know when you forget to do something? Well, yours truly did. You remember last review when we looked at Ziggy's gift? Yeah, there was something I left out. I kinda sorta forgot to mention that the director was Richard Williams. That name may not be familiar to most, but his contribution is huge. Have you ever heard of a little movie called Roger Rabbit?
Not gonna do anything crazy, is he?
Yeah, Richard Williams was the animation director for that film. He was a big part of the success of Roger Rabbit. You see, by agreeing to do Roger Rabbit, Spielberg agreed to help distribute Williams' magnus opus, The Thief and the Cobbler. For everyone involved, it looked like this was a slam dunk, but that's not what happened. The Thief and the Cobbler holds the distinction of having the longest production time of any movie ever. It took 31 years to produce this film, from 1964 to 1993. In the end, the version that was delivered was less than stellar.
We're what happens when you don't finish school.
Warner Brothers opted to put up the money to finish The Thief and the Cobbler, but only if it was done by 1991. And Richard Williams was, how to put this nicely?
He's a dick!
Okay, maybe that's not fair, but let's be honest. He was known for firing people and he redid scenes all the time. Now, does that make him a bad person? No, not technically, but in Warner Brothers' eyes, yes it does. Look, they wanted their movie and they were determined to get it hell or high water. But before that could happen, two big things happened. First, Disney announced the creation of a little movie called Aladdin. Maybe you've heard of it.
Rule number 3.
I can't bring people back from the dead. It's not a pretty picture. I don't like doing it.
See, the problem is a lot of the people who had worked on The Thief and the Cobbler had moved on to other projects, one of them being specifically Aladdin. So there's a lot of similarities between Aladdin and The Thief and the Cobbler because Aladdin basically ripped off The Thief and the Cobbler. The second event was a disastrous rough cut shown to Warner Brother executives. The movie was basically unfinished and missing an entire reel. Warner Brothers freaked out and decided to back out of the movie completely. The unfinished film was handed over to a bond company to be finished. And the first act of the new owners of the film, fire the creator, Richard Williams. They then subsequently chopped the movie to hell and added singing, which was then released to a public that didn't care that this movie existed. The movie would go on to gross $319,000 on a budget of $24 million. And after that, it looked like Richard Williams' dream was dead. Or it would have been had it not been for a USC film graduate student, Garrett Gilchrist. Thanks to him and his tireless effort, he produced a fan cut known as The Thief and the Cobbler Recobbled Cut. The Recobbled Cut has been revised 3 times in 2006, 2008, and in 2013. Each version incorporated further high-quality materials that had been donated by animators from the film. So Garrett, all I have to say is one thing. We thank you. You, the man. This is the opportunity that I wanted to take to talk about the comparisons that I noticed between Ziggy's Gift and The Thief and the Cobbler. The Thief and the Cobbler is a movie about two characters who are adversaries, but they are not in direct conflict with each other. What I mean by that is though they both make independent decisions and actions, they both ultimately lead to the conclusion of the same problem. One example is in the beginning of the movie, when we are introduced to the thief who tries to steal from the cobbler. Through a crazy accident, the cobbler is arrested and becomes entangled in the power struggle involving the court mage Zigzag and the king.
Seize him! Take him! Take him into the palace!
Meanwhile, in plot B, the thief who was not arrested steals 3 golden balls said to protect the kingdom. By doing this, he causes the court mage to side with the invading army in his goal to marry the princess.
I'll give you anything, Zigzag. Just do it.
As my peril will be dire, you must grant my heart's desire.
Which is?
I require, sire, your daughter Yum Yum.
You want my daughter? Never!
The camp of the One-Eyes. How very nice. Perhaps they'll be willing to pay my price.
Back in the cobbler's plot, the princess falls immediately in love with him, and she sets out on a quest with him to try to save the kingdom.
What?
At the moment, Daddy, I need a cobbler.
Yes, of course. You must cross the great desert. Go now.
Father, we need a guide.
Yes, but who?
I know who. How did you get free?
Him? The cobbler?
He's resourceful.
Can you trust him?
Yes.
The two of them go on a journey to meet a witch, who, curiously enough, also happens to have saggy witch tits.
We'll pay. Okay. Everyone here who can save your city? Eeny, meeny, miny, moe! Tack? Can Tack save our city?
Using the information that was given to them by the witch, they confront One-Eye's army.
Tack, please, no! Oh, Tack.
Tack is able to defeat Zigzag, who is eaten by his crocodiles.
The greatest wizard has to know exactly when it's time to... My friends, are you still here? I haven't fed you yet, I fear.
And he destroys the siege machinery with one tack in a very Rube Goldberg-like way. Meanwhile, in plot B, the thief is able to regain the golden balls from the top of the siege machine. One-Eye dead and the army defeated, the kingdom is saved, and both are hailed as the heroes of the day.
Oh, Tack, my Cobbler.
My daughter, my wonderful daughter.
With that finish, you're probably asking, what does the thief and the cobbler have to do with Ziggy's gift?
Well,
there are some comparisons, to be sure. In both films, the main character is an unwitting protagonist. In Ziggy's case, he set out to do good anyways, but he ended up doing much more. Minus the turkey fiasco? The other big thing they share is an arrest. That is a major plot point of both of these films. In The Thief and the Cobbler, it's how the whole story gets started. If it wasn't for the arrest of the cobbler, there would be no story. In Ziggy's Gift, the arrest happens at the end of the video. The two of them are fighting over a kettle, and the cop who thinks that Ziggy is a fraud Santa tries to arrest him, but they get caught in the act by some orphan children, and they begin to sing, and they go on to spread Christmas cheer. Even though they share some plot elements, the real comparisons come down to the characters themselves. I mean, take a look at the thief characters in both. They look extremely similar. They both have a penchant for stealing anything that they can steal, especially if that object is gold and glowing. And then take a look at the characters of Ziggy and the cobbler, who are also very similar. Both are selfless and willing to do anything for the greater good.
The greater good.
the greater good.
All the characters share one thing in common though. They don't speak. I am aware that the cobbler and the thief do speak, but that's only in the Miramax version. In the recobbled cut, the thief never speaks, and Tack has one line of dialogue at the end of the movie. Interesting side note, in the original version that was never released, that line of dialogue was supposed to be spoken by none other than...
Shithead? What's a shithead?
Yeah, Sean Connery. How cool is that? Anyways, in this special, Ziggy never speaks, which is odd as he speaks in the comic all the time. The thief as well never utters a word. They can be seen singing at the end of the special, but you only make out what the cop is saying. I gotta be honest, I'm not sure if these aspects were in the original script or if Richard Williams suggested it, but it can't be a mere coincidence. Whatever the case, The Thief and the Cobbler and Ziggy's Gift are always going to be linked in more ways than one. But before we go, I did have one last thing I would like to go over. Would you believe that this wasn't the last time that Richard Williams and Ziggy's paths crossed?
You serious?
Well, it wasn't, because there exists a series of shorts.
You can have it if you want it.
Rather than go over all of them, I thought I would just touch base on the few that stuck out to me, so let's do it.
We can't stay long. We're just here to dump some nuclear waste.
Come on, that's funny. No, like seriously, I'm not joking. That's actually funny. Can you imagine Ziggy trying to explain to the authorities how all that toxic waste got there? Hilarious. It will be even more funny when he's spending 7 to 11 years breaking rocks at Leavenworth.
Well, all I can say, Eleanor, is Dr. Prendergast is right. Mercy Hospital is in a world of trouble. If we're going to okay and sanction illicit relationships between members of our staff, then this hospital deserves to...
Again, there's nothing to complain about with this one. I mean, it's about video games, so that's awesome, and you gotta love those awesome Atari noises. And then we have the last one, which is a big fuck you.
Go, God!
Go, God.
Go, God!
Yeah, as you can tell, I kind of lost my tits on this one. What the hell does God have to do with a setting sun? Look, I'm not even going to get into the argument whether or not gravity exists or doesn't, but shouldn't it be go gravity? Or shouldn't it be go curve space? Ugh, whatever.
Go, God!
Well, that's that. Now the question becomes how to wrap this up. You should definitely seek out The Thief and the Cobbler. I personally prefer the Recobbled edition, which can be found in one of its 4 forms online usually, more specifically on Vimeo, but if your only option is the Miramax version, then watch it. You can appreciate what Richard Williams was trying to do even if the dialogue and the singing make it a mess. Plus, you can't go wrong with Vincent Price's Zigzag.
I am Zigzag the Great of the Golden Land.
So, till next time.
Bing bong booly booly bibbly boo. We're what happens when you don't finish school. Bing bong booly booly bibbly boo. We're what happens when you don't finish school.
Go, God!
I shouldn't steal again, but maybe, yeah, just the E and then the H, and what about the T? Yeah, D and N. I'll just hold on to these little goodies until the reviews come out.